see me. There I am. 4 p.m. All by myself. To start. There's that thing. I should read that sometime. Guard my privacy and be able to go by the community guidelines. I don't know the community guidelines. Okay, there's 5 people. Well, there's a lot of people just pop in all of a sudden. 7. Get likes because I just shut up. Hello, Terry. Hello, Jill. Hello, Dee Dee. And so 3 out of 10 said hello. We're getting ready to begin, and it's Happy Friday. And Brian, hey, from the Shawnee National Forest. How did you almost miss it, Glenn? We just started. It would have been in an hour, you would have been almost missing this. So, but not right now. So, one person did a view. Does that mean just somebody just bailed? It's like, it takes a while to start. We're waiting for people to come in. So this week, once we get kind of rolling here and some people are joining in and all, definitely I'm going to jump in and answer a few questions from the last few lives that I didn't quite have answers for. So average view duration, 14 seconds. So some people lasted all of 14 seconds. I was out digging a septic tank. Septic came in for a break. Well, there you go. So I'm glad I can give you a break here from the septic. All right. Anyhow, so concurrent view. I don't even know what's the difference between views, concurrent views, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. I don't know. The numbers get all mixed up to me. So anyhow, so here we go. We're going to roll. I'm going to answer a few questions right off the bat that have been answered in the past before people start asking more questions. Sometimes I don't have answers to. One of the questions I was asked, this might have been a couple weeks ago or so, I remember, about the Spanish armor that Bob Schuss had purchased. And I could have swore in the video we did that give Wayne a thumbs up. It helps the channel. We talking about aliens or treasure? Talking about Spanish armor right now. And Bob, I could have swear in the video, says he bought it at an auction, but I think he meant convention because Bob told me he paid $3,000 for it. It was a guy. He met him in Mesa at a convention. The guy came out specifically to sell Schuss the armor, so he might have come from New Mexico, and that's all Bob can remember. He has no provenance or anything else from that. He said he didn't really care. He just wanted to get his hands on the Spanish armor, which in the 70s, 80s, in that time period, in the 90s, a lot of times with old material like that, people just didn't care where it was coming from. They knew it was the real thing, and it made its deals and stuff. So today, we don't know where it really came from. I'd always want to know. Volume is a little low. I'm speaking a little low. I don't see where my volume is. I don't see anything about it. Trevor is going to show up behind me here shortly, trying to figure out what it is. I don't know if I'm speaking low. Hopefully that helps. I don't know what he pushed, but maybe that does. See, some people think the audio is great and everything sounds fine, and other people, so I don't know if it's me, you, or what else. Anyways, that was the Spanish armor, which we had a question on, so I kind of covered what I could with that. Secondly, Silver Spur cabin. Someone asked about the Silver Spur cabin. I couldn't remember anything much about it. That was part of the Jack Kennedy's ranch, Vernon Jack Kennedy. He purchased out the Miles Ranch in late 40s, 47, 48. Owned it up until about 1958. He built that, according to Billy Martin, and then it burned down shortly after 58. Okay, and everybody's saying the audio is great, and the other half of the people can't hear. I'm speaking at low volume. I'm speaking deep. Maybe I'm beyond the threshold. Only dogs can hear me, maybe. I don't know. So, anyhow, the Silver Spur Ranch, but I could not find anything other than Jack Kennedy's ranch workings. The spring, they had a pipe going to Deer Spring that brought in water. It was used as a cabin when they were out lion hunting or deer hunting in the area. So I couldn't find any stories or anything related to it, so I don't know what the idea was between that. There's nothing there. I've never seen anything there. There's just a trough and stuff. I guess you could reference Jack Carlson probably would know better than anyone else. He was pretty close to the Martin family, and they knew about all those structures and utilized those areas, and that was part of their cattle allotment, or still is. So that would be best there, but I could not find anything else. Kind of thought, wow, is there an associated story with that? Well, and that goes east. That's the West Pinto Creek area, but it's east, which is even more confusing, but it's out to the southeast of Iron Mountain and out in that area. So if you're ever looking that up, go to Rogers Trough and then follow the trail going due east south of Iron Mountain, and you'll find that Silver Spur cabin north of Deer Springs. So that was that. So I really didn't get anywhere with that. Audio's great. He's just speaking low. Hey Wayne, blessings from Ireland. And that's Rose McCracken. That's Irish. So anyhow, so welcome back to the Irish people. You guys are up late. I mean, come on. It's basically 4. Well, I guess it's 4 a.m. Maybe you just get up really early in Ireland. So anyhow, so that was 2. The third one was something someone said Wayne doesn't like talking about the Dragoon pistols. And that wasn't necessarily it. And I think I touched on that, but I wanted to touch on that this week. That's a story that Larry Hedrick tells. Larry seems particularly interested in the story. I've never heard much beyond what Larry tells, which is about a 4 or 5 minute story. Now, they've extended that out and redundantly talk it in a circle for about 10, 12, 15 minutes. And they've done that 5 or 6 times. They keep doing it over and over. The person he mentions in it that met the guy was Tom Collenborn. Tom Collenborn is the person that wrote the article. So it's a Tom Collenborn story. I don't know why Larry doesn't mention Tom. But Tom, I've never heard, or I didn't know of anything Tom having specific interest in it. So that was kind of a Larry thing. I called and talked to a number of people and said, is it just me, or is that just kind of a Larry thing? Message retracted. It's 12 midnight here in Ireland. And I don't know why I tried to throw some sort of accent on there. Because I guess when you say Ireland, 9 a.m. Saturday in Australia. Hey. So you're kind of normal up in Australia. So that's Western or Eastern Australia. Same here in the UK. So you got Trevor in the UK. We have Eric in Australia. And then we have Rose McCracken in Ireland. We have no Welsh. We're the Welsh. No Scots, no Welsh, no Norsemen, no Danes. Anyhow, so I kind of like the story that Larry tells, as brief as it is, and it is kind of brief. Most of it is his hypothetical, what he thinks. I talked to a number of different people. I tried to find, is there anyone else that searched for it or really has said much about it? Trevor Archer is in Wales, so you're Welsh. So we do have a Welsh person. So you speak funny, and you live in a place that's probably spelled funny and has a lot of consonants and very few vowels. So, well, there you go. Wales, a very mysterious place. Well, I think all the places around there are mysterious. You got Wales and Ireland, and then you have Scotland, which is a bit different. And I'm not going to say they're strange people, but strange places. I think someone once told me, if you wanted to go to the place there's fairies, they told me something to the degree of Wales is where you'll find the fairies, Ireland is where the people see the fairies. That was an old joke, and I'm sorry, Rose, because I won't tell the other Irish joke, I know, having a lot of Irish in me, but yeah, I always heard a lot of Irish jokes. Anyhow, getting back to the other without insulting anybody with any... Yeah, it's funny, because sometimes the funniest jokes you hear are not, you said, where are the Welsh? Oh, okay, never mind. Trevor's in England. He's not in Wales. Okay. So they get funny. Yeah, they spell things funny, like D's or T's and TH's and things like that. Anyway, separating all that, getting back to it, the Dragoon pistols. It's not I want to talk about. There's just nothing else to say. I know the area Larry's interested in, and I don't really know anything else. Yes, very mystical, much fairies and elementals in Ireland. And the Banshee, I did a Banshee story. My grandfather loved the country. I said Banshee, and then the wind kicked up outside the window. Yeah, it is really kicking up, isn't it? Every time I say Banshee, I wonder what's going on there. Just a storm blowing in. Grandfather lived in the country, and the fairies and apparitions, the red coats. They're after me. Lucky Charms. I keep doing it. Well, Trevor's kind of a leprechaun. He's got reddish hair, and he looks like a leprechaun a bit. He's a big leprechaun. It's Kevin from Massachusetts. Good to hear from you, Rock On. Hey, Kevin from Massachusetts. So anyways, as far as the pistols, there's not much else to go on. The story kind of like falls into itself on the way. Doesn't make sense that the guys weren't going to go through the mountains, but then they ended up trying to go through the mountains, even though the one guy, the lieutenant, had never been through the mountains and never been to Fort McDowell. And then they get kind of lost going through there, and they end up going right into the hands of the Apaches again. And he barely makes it, and he doesn't know the terrain well enough to take them back. So it's kind of odd story. Why don't you just go around, skirt the western side of the Superstitions, keep your distance, and work your way around and not fall into any of these other things. And the other problem is you're a lot closer to Camp Pinal than you were Fort McDowell. But that's just me saying. But they can never find the little cave that they hid in and stashed the pistols in. So somewhere there's those. But again, as Frank would point out, the government still owns those. Those are U.S. government property. So if you got them, it'd be very obvious, possibly because of you trying to sell them or what you do with them, the government would be able to take them right from you. So you wouldn't be allowed to keep them. Okay, greetings, Wayne. San Antonio, Texas. That's Gil Gold Prospecting. Coming to your town next month. Oh, American time is taking your time. Okay, American time is taking your time. When does summer finish over there? Winter here. Keen to see your travels outdoors when possible. The summer ends sometime by the end of October. One of the reasons the rendezvous is in November now, the first week in November, is because we would be out, and it would be between 90 and 100 degrees at the rendezvous most years at the very end of October. Usually the weather starts to actually cool down after Halloween. So once you hit Samhain, that's it. Then the weather cools down into November. But and that's not always a guarantee. It's still kind of warm during the day during November, but the evenings definitely start to cool off, and then it's not good till December. January, February, March are the real cool months. Sometimes December gets kind of cooler, but so the Dragoons are not something I don't want to talk about. It's just I don't have anything to add. I have my little things with it. There's nobody really. I don't think anybody has written about it in a book anywhere. I think Larry's the only person that talks about it. So it's there. Nobody's ever shown me any of the documents. I called and asked if any of those documents or anything were in the archives. No. I was told where I should look, because now it suddenly became something I was supposed to go look for, I guess, which is going to be disappointing for Greg Davis. That I don't know if I'm going to look, but we discussed that on the phone where we could find those archival documents. Tom might have had them. Tom knew, and I don't know who the person was that Tom knew. But anyhow, so Larry might know that, but I don't know. Larry was omitting all the names. Summer finish. We're having a heat wave at the moment all over Europe. And we have a heat wave here from like May through October. So I don't know. I don't understand heat waves, man. When you get up in the morning and it's 90 degrees outside and people talk about heat waves, I'm thinking, shit, I don't know. I don't know what people are talking about heat waves. So anyways, that's 3 stories, 3 things I want to adjust to. So Silver Spur really didn't have much on. The Spanish armor with shoes, I talked to Bob about that. And then I talked to a number of different people concerning the cult Dragoons. Just ask them. And that seems to be, what if the Dragoons are found? Does the government get to take them? Well, here's your problem. That's what I just said. If you found the cult Dragoons and tried to sell them, there's going to be serial numbers on them, unless you find private collectors that'll pay you what they're worth, which could be worth $1 million or so. Mint Dragoons from that era. Soon as someone's aware of it, the government's aware. It is government property. It's lost government property, so it's not finders keepers. And I talked to Frank about it, and I talked to someone else about it, because I was like, man, well, I guess the best thing we'd do is find it, pull a couple of them, take them home, keep them personal, kind of things. But yeah, the serial numbers would be giving you away. You've been up at midnight, right? Have you ever seen any fairies? No. Okay, I've never seen a fairy. No, never seen a fairy. No, can't think about it. I haven't never seen a fairy. There was a book I had. It was about something about, remember those the 20s or 30s when or maybe it was earlier than that, when people were into the pictures, taking the pictures of the fairies. They were using those paper cutouts and doing that stuff. And they were doing that kind of stuff. And I can't remember where that was from at all. Anyhow, there was that. And yeah. Don't know anything. I've never, I'm not going to sit here and relate Irish folklore stories and stuff. And what is it? Cullen, And I know some of the stories, but yeah. I don't know if I know any of the fairy stories and stuff. I don't know. I've never said anything about that stuff. I'll talk about Norse stuff and Scottish and Irish stuff and different stuff. I know there's some Welsh stuff I probably know too. Cuchulainn, who was, let's see, I'm trying to just off the top of my head know. See, I'll know the name, and anyways, okay. When if Dragoons are found? Okay, so yeah, the Dragoons would be something that you really couldn't sell or do anything with, because it'd be government property. They'd have serial numbers. So it'd be a really cool find. It'd be really awesome, and then you couldn't really do much with them. So Cherokee believe in the little people. See, I don't know anything about little people. There's supposed to be little people in the superstitions. They're supposed to have 4 legs. They have legs on their sides, and then when they run on the hillsides, they can run sideways and something or something. Tex Barkley used to talk about them. And the pygmies, and then Sal told something about a story about pygmies, little guys in little vests. I don't know. Yeah, the 2 were girls, seen the fairies, made little fairies somewhere in England. There's a movie about it. Just watched it the other day. There you go. See, so I remembered something. It was a joke, Wayne. What was the joke? I'm going back. Been up midnight. Have you ever seen the fairy? No, I don't see fairies. No, but yeah, but I know good Irish and Scottish whiskey. What do the Welsh make? I wonder. I don't know if they make a whiskey or they have a strong draught of wine, or don't know about that. So there's Irish whiskey, there's Scottish whiskey, there's bourbon. But anyways, no, I don't think I've ever. There has to be something. The Welsh have to make something. So anyways, and over across the water, then they made mead. The Viking guys. Anyways, so there we go on that as we talk about fairies and stuff. Wow, I'm surprised there's still 32 people here with us now that we're done with our fairy speech. I understand Cortez ventured your way. Is there any knowledge of Francisco Pizarro Conquistador getting out your way? Not that I know about in this area. Cortez had to come through central Arizona. He obviously did. I don't know. I've never read... which Cortez are you talking? Are you talking Cortez, the one that came in, the one that found the Grand Canyon and stuff, or the one Cortez, the one that took out the Aztecs? That one I don't think got much of anywhere. Anyways, there's nothing specific tied, I think. I've never seen anything specifically tied to the superstitions and that stuff. 4-legged little people sounds scary as hell to me. The Aztecs, Cortez. Yeah, I don't think he got up this way. I think he kind of stayed settled in Mexico for the most part. And didn't he? He ended up back in Spain, didn't he? And I think he ended up losing almost everything in Spain and stuff. You smoke cannabis? Interesting question. No, I cannot smoke cannabis. My job does not permit or allow me to do so. Did I at one time smoke cannabis? An entirely different question. Still no fairies either way, either and or. But cannabis is legal. But because of the operation of corporate vehicles and so forth and what I do, I'm not allowed. So I can't be around that. So my job's very important to me. Hi, looking well. How are you, the rest of you guys doing? That is the nicest comment I got today. Looking well. I feel tired. I feel like I'd like to eat pizza and take a nap. What are the rest of you guys doing? Woody is probably getting ready to go to the bar, drink, shoot pool. Frank is probably sitting, watching TV. Dalil is what?
Taking a bath.
Or taking... No, Frank takes a bath in the early afternoon. Then let's see. Dalil's probably getting off work, and Magnuson is, because they're about probably an hour behind us. So they're probably finishing off. I meant to call Dalil this week, and I didn't. My phone's been dying quite a bit. My battery really sucks, and then it doesn't want to charge. And so I'm running at like 4 or 5% on my phone pretty often anymore. So I don't always I make the phone calls I have to make, and then then I'm done till I can get home where I can charge it a lot. Okay, so there we go. How the rest of you guys doing? Our government grows is purely medicinal purposes, they say. Okay, well, I used to, you can smoke cannabis to get high, like drink a beer. That's medicinal if it makes you feel good. But no, there's a restriction on that because of the operation of that stuff. So it doesn't matter if you feel... I've actually had people I wanted to hire, and they said they needed their cannabis for their stress and anxiety. And I told them to find a hobby and quit smoking it, and they could come to work for me, and they wouldn't. So, and it's not funny because I hate the fact that someone can't work because, they consider life too stressful, can't do anything. Greetings and everyone here. Sorry I'm late. I don't even know how to say your name. I'll just call you Pack. APAC. But, yeah, so there's that. Well, you didn't miss much. We talked about fairies, and we talked about the Irish, and then we you can catch it later. It's all there, as strange and odd as it is. So, I was reading the Carlson Hiker Guide and the Ely Anderson Trail. Hidden Valley sounds interesting. Ever been? Yes, I've been up there tons. Most of the time I'm ever up there and around that area. I'm the only person on that freaking mountain, or whoever's with me is the only people. Yeah, very, very much so. In fact, the one video, if you go through when we do the Friday videos, Trevor films one where we're going up and it's real windy and we're looking off the mountain. It's me and Randy Wright. I'm filming with an old camcorder, and it's very loud and stuff, but that's the Ely Anderson Trail going up. And we went up on the flat and across through and down by the valley into a cave back in there. It's a very interesting area. There was a lot of people up in there, especially on the north end of Bluff Springs, but there were people. Walter Gassler was on the south end. He had a mine called the Cross. So we spent a lot of time up there. Selfish birthday plug today. I'm 69. Happy 69, APAC. There you go. How much gold is still left in the Superstition Mountains? All that they didn't find. So there's still, I'm sure, plenty of gold in the Superstitions. What did you ever hear of Loftus Hall and the Hellfire Club? I've heard of the Hellfire Club because those guys weird. Weird thing with that stuff. I can't remember it offhand and stuff. The Hellfire Club groups, Lester Crowley. I think we talked about Crowley a few weeks ago. I think on the live I even mentioned it. I was talking about Crowley and the Golden Dawn and Mathers and that stuff because I was talking about the house up by Loch Ness because I've been watching something because they've restored it and it's now a tourist spot. They're restoring it back. And I'm trying to remember what they're called. Can't remember what that place is called now offhand. Anyways, yeah, we talked about that. Where were we? How much gold? There's whatever gold's left under there in the caldera. So probably more on the eastern side than the western side. Under the western side, there's going to be a lot of stuff there, but you can still find it. How did the Superstitions get their name? The Pimas. The Pimas think the Spanish referred to it because the superstitions associated with it. It was the mountains of foam by the Spanish. I think it's just because there were so many superstitions and stuff. Tom kind of was into that kind of thing. I think it was a number of different names because they were part of the Salt River Mountains and stuff, and then I think Superstitions just stuck. And Superstitions is the range, but the main mountain that's over Apache Junction is Superstition Mountain. That's the main Superstition Mountain. Life can be stressful. That's why God gave us a liver. There you go. What brand of cigarettes do you smoke? I've seen your Marlboro jacket. Well, that's because I got that jacket sometime in the 90s or late 80s and stuff. I smoke American Spirits and the turquoise. So that's what I smoke. Because a guy salesman one day came in and said, "Hey, why don't you try these?" And I said, "Man, those things are kind of expensive. I don't know if I want to try those." And he said, "Oh, well, give them a shot." And I smoked them, and I kind of liked them. I was smoking the black ones and the light blue. And so then I found the turquoise, which kind of was pretty good. And then what happened is I tried to go back. At the time I was smoking Camels, and I tried to go back and smoke a Camel, and I could taste the formaldehyde in the chemicals, because these are just basically water, tobacco, and the paper, and they don't have any of the chemical byproducts that most all other cigarettes have. And it was so nasty tasting all of it, and I was like, could smell it. It irritated my nasal cavity. So then I stuck to these, and that's been, God, probably 4 or 5 years now. But yeah, it was really kind of one part of my smoker cough, and a lot of stuff just disappeared once I switched this. I know it's not healthy, but no, it was really strange how much I could taste the formaldehyde and stuff. And I was like, man, that's crazy. I didn't realize there was that many chemicals in a normal cigarette. Happy birthday. Any thoughts about Walter Gessler's death? Yes, he had a heart attack. And I'll touch that in a second. I'm just trying to catch up. Interesting. Got to try your trip with History Channel. Is there pics of the beautiful places that weren't shown? I've posted a lot of that in Facebook. In Facebook, you can find tons of stuff. We'll have a website up that will post a lot of those pictures too over time. Trevor, how close is we got to do descriptions on the photographs. He's working on some of it, but we have a website we're getting ready to put up. So hopefully by next week, I'll be announcing that and all that. So that's where you'll be able to get stuff and not have to just go through the YouTube site, and it'll link to everything else. But on Facebook, Legend of the Superstition Mountains, it'll have the black, I have the medicine wheel picture on it in History Channel. And if you go to that specific one, you go into the archives of the pictures, you'll find there's tons of pictures there. Because I took a lot of pictures when we filmed of a lot of stuff going on in places we were running around that weren't in the show. So there you go. A lot of places that have nothing to do with the show are in there too. Favorite was the split in 2 canyons. That's Fish Creek Canyon. Yeah, that's Fish Creek Canyon, just past the bridge, a place you really can't go anymore. You can, but it's complete. Walter Gassler's death. I've always found it mysterious. Walter Gassler didn't really know Tom Collenborn or Bob Corbin very well, just kind of acquaintances, but he really wanted them or someone to come in the mountains with him. They were busy. They didn't have the time. They didn't really know that much from the guy. And I've heard both of them talk about it, and he was a nicer, older guy, had spent a lot of time out in the mountains, and it just didn't happen. And he went back in and basically had a heart attack, probably going in up the trail. There's a lot of people who like to say, "Oh, his best friend." It's funny. They're a lot into my little thing here for a moment, but there are a lot of people who like to be best friends with people who die, because it's like, oh, he's dead. Oh, his son's dead. Now I got an opening. Yeah, we were best friends. I knew everything about him. We used to spend time in his camp, and we used to roll each other's cigarettes and make burritos together. And not true, but no, there's people that kind of slide themselves into history, acting like they knew very well specific people and so forth. And yeah, I just kind of, from some of the people I knew, and I know one person that kind of knew the family, and I really didn't bug him much because he said they don't really care about all that stuff. And they kind of find it disturbing that people are really into this stuff and thinking their dad, grandpa found the mine and stuff, which I could see from a different point of view, is we're kind of a bit of weirdos on that. So I'll respect that and stay away from people on that and stuff. So yeah, that's that. So pretty much, I think Walter Gassler died of a heart attack. I think Crazy Jake might have been conveniently in the area again to go through whatever was on his body, and his guys up going up Peters Mesa. But I don't think he was up on Peters Mesa. I don't know if there really was any ore or anything. I don't know about a lot of stuff. That a lot of that kind of comes up funny and stuff. As far as his pack and stuff, it was probably buried with him, which is what I believe. And Tom didn't seem to have any big conspiracy. It was funny because a lot of the conspiracy theories, Adolf Ruth's death wasn't murdered. He died probably of a heart attack or a sunstroke. It was really funny because Tom would completely like just shake his head at a lot of these things, thinking, have you been in those mountains? Have you been in those mountains in the summer? And, you have a guy that's 70, 80, 90 years old in the back of the mountains. What do you think happened to him? So there you go. I was reading in Glover's book about someone running around in the brush when they found Gosler. That was up the trail. Yeah, there was someone up the trail. They're probably going to Crazy Jake's. It might have been Jake. It might have been one of his guys packing and going up through there. And that's who they reference. I think someone told me who it is. I'd have to go through a file. But there was more than one person. They were up the trail. And the person that saw Gassler's body saw them and kind of knew who they were, but because they were alive with that person and so forth, they didn't want to identify them, just say there were some riders, some people up the trail. But I'm sure everybody knew who it was at the time. And then the person didn't want to usually use people's names who were still alive. A lot of people do that. It's like they're not sure quite what happened, so they don't want to use the names. And then later, I'm trying to think of who told me who all the people were connected. I can't even remember who the person was who, when he found his body and was talking about it. But yeah, I heard all about it. I think there's an interview tape of it. And it was just, wasn't like Jake seemed to be where, Helen Burns, Al Morrow, Walter Gassler seemed to find people dead. Accidental deaths seem to happen around Jake. So, hey, who knows? Ron Feldman thinks highly of him. I think Ron realized how messed up of a guy Jake was and all that. But, hey, there was a lot of con men in the Superstitions, and there still are quite a few in and around and about. And they come generally from somewhere else. They come in, they develop almost different backgrounds. They're not quite who they say they are. And, Crazy Jake, Jacob Simpson was one of those people. Chuck Crawford was kind of one of those people. Wouldn't put Bob Ward, because Bob Ward spent a lot of time in the mountains and did a lot of digging. There was a lot of time in the 40s, late 40s or 50s, 50s, 60s. Bob was pretty active. And then he became, I don't know if he became a con man, but he became kind of like part of his own mythology later, I think, maybe a bit. Started believing in himself a little too much, or started kind of like maybe pickled might be a different way to set it, that he started thinking of different things. But there's a number of people, and I was just, Crawford, Crazy Jake. There's a lot of, Revis was one of those people, but there's a lot of people that ran a lot of cons. And there were people in those last 10, 20 years that have done a lot of that. And their modus operandi is generally they kind of like assume a cloak of being someone else and some other stuff, and then they start taking the truth and adding to it, and where they find that someone's dead or someone's missing or there's a lack of information, they'll create information or draw pictures or come up with things that aren't really from there. And it's a lot of shady sketch stuff. It's sad because they harm history more than do anybody any good. They're not entertaining because of what they do in the end. While you might say, well, that was entertaining, he's a good storyteller, what happens in the end is it just dilutes and changes history, and people start believing stuff, and that's a shame. When you start believing a story or information or documentation that really isn't true, that doesn't exist and stuff, that's sad, because now it's hard to get out of your head. I've had that problem where I've got to sit back and go like, oh, that's right, that's not true. that came from the wrong. I know the sources it came from. So, and I've tried to work a little methodically at eliminating some of that because and changing some of those things. Hey, Salvador, you're allowed to be on live. Leonardo Valenzuela. I got to use Sal's voice. Salvador Degadillo was the last to see Robert Gassler alive. There you go. Where did you see him, Sal? No, you can't type that fast. Hey, Wayne, just shout out to you. I'd call you, Sal, and try to talk to you on the phone about it, and everybody could hear what you had to say, but I don't think we'd understand you through the phone on this. So, where did you run into him? Down below? I don't think you told me about running into Gassler. Where did you run into him? Did you run into him on First Water or something? And Sal, you don't have to type everything in the capital letters. Bobby, fix him, straighten him, teach him how to type. Salvador, quit laughing and type right. Learn to type right. And learn to type without an accent. There you go. Was it Sal in the bushes? Yeah, see, Sal, now you're in the bushes. Yeah, Sal was sneaking around in the bushes, man. Yes, he was sneaking in the bushes looking for some chicken. He bullied it. Trevor's laughing. Yeah, what were you up there doing when Gassler died? Sal, burying some chicken up there? There we go. That's between me and Sal. The scene is absolutely in all the pics I've ever seen. Sunny All Hallows Mead YouTube is touchy. Okay. Anyways, Sal seems to have disappeared once we accused him of being the man in the brush and Walter Gassler. Or else he did it. I think that's the first time we've ever had him live. Well, thank you for joining us, Sal, my friend. You're the one person I haven't talked to over the last week or two. So I haven't talked to you recently. I've talked to Jesse, I've talked to Bob, talked to Greg, talked to Frank. There's a few people I haven't talked to, but no, I hadn't talked to you because you're so busy all the time and it's so hard to get a hold of you. So, but yeah, it'll cool down and we'll get out there. I type in Creole French accent. Yeah. Yeah. What was it? Someone once told me, they told me once, did you ever notice when so-and-so texts you that he actually, when he's drunk, he slurs in his text? And it was true. He actually could slur in his text, which is kind of funny. As I was trying to post, I hope all is well and see more adventures. There you go. There you go. So, all right. So, mead, that would be the Viking drink, not the other drink and whatnot and all that. We kind of got silly. I'm sure Sal's seen little people. Sal, have you seen the fairies in the mountains? That would not be, Salvador's probably seen fairies in the mountains. He probably has. He probably has a couple sitting around the house. So, there you go. But, yeah, I don't recall. If he did tell me about when he ran into Gassler, it might have been he was on the way in and he just passed by him or something. Maybe that's what it was. And Sal's probably told me it's probably just more of me just having forgotten that bit. It probably something incidental. I don't think Sal and him sat down, had lunch together, built a teepee, and dried out some beef and jerky and venison, and then went their separate ways. I think it was probably a very brief thing. Sal was coming in or out. I'm wondering what Sal was doing up in that spot or area. Hope you can get Frank, Woody, Eric on one of the live shows. I will. I got to just remember to call Eric. Eric's probably the most reliable to be able to do it. I don't know if on YouTube we've got to look and see if there's a split screen ability we can do on this or something we can do. But definitely I could just call him on the phone, have the phone positioned here, and we could talk. I was going to do that with Eric, and I will with Dalil. Try to get Magnus and Dalil to do something like that. Woody's hard of hearing, so it might be difficult. It's easier to do something with Woody if he's there in person. So maybe there's a time me and Frank and Woody can get together. I'm really pushing, and I'm going to start pushing on these guys, of getting down to the rendezvous, because it's been almost 7-8 years since all of us have been in one room. There's never been more than 3 of us in a room or together at one time since then. Yeah, I'd like to see Frank on some lives. You rang. So, yeah, Frank, we tried to do the live stuff with Frank before, and he ended up upside down and sideways. he basically had lost control of his phone. It was pretty ridiculous. It was an old live. I can't remember when we did the lives on Facebook, and it might be on YouTube. We might have, but it was from way back. That would be awesome. But yeah, I want to get some, just see what they're doing, kind of talk about, hey, what's been going on, what you've been doing, what's happening, and that kind of thing. So there you go. Walter Gassler on top of Charlie Boy Spring. Okay, so you were down by the spring. Okay. Well, God, it took that long for him to answer. I don't know what's going to happen now. So were you camped in Charlie Boy, or did you just pass through, or should we just wait sometime and I'll sit down and we'll talk about it, and then I can do it better? That book you mentioned you were reading last week, how's it going? Which book? I've been through a lot of books. The last book I was doing was this, Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythology. I'm done with that. That was very good. I liked it very much. That book. I'm still working on the Oak Flat book. I always got 2-3 books going at once. Oh, Gold House. I was reading we'll be doing some Chasing Legends, Touching Gold House, the Doc Noss Victorio Peak. Yeah, I did finish that book because that was a book, because of all the documentation and the work in it, I would read a chapter and then go back and review the chapter and read certain parts again. So I literally read the book 2.5 times while I read it over that week or so. But I did finish that book, so it's very difficult to find. I'm trying to get the second edition on the government conspiracy cover-up and those documents and stuff, and then start that one. But I will talk about that first when Doc Noss discovers up into his death period of that. And yes, Sal, I know you knew Doc Noss, so that too. So on top of Charlie Boy Spring, what were you doing at the spring? Just camping, hanging out? So, it was early when you were back in there when you first came sometime. Okay. There you go. Yeah, I'll catch Sal sometime, sit down with him. I'm sure it's a very brief story. He may not have even realized it was Walter Gassler. So, there you go. Sal, have you ever seen leprechauns, fairies, banshees? Well, the banshee thing was Bob Ward. But, some strange things. Sal's seen some strange things in the mountains. So, there you go. So the book is done. Norsemen are Vikings. Norsemen just bought Body Beats Music. Norsemen are Vikings. Well, but Norse mythology, yes, but it's a book on Norse mythology. Now I'm getting tongue-tied. And it's about, Odin and Thor and Loki and all that kind of stuff. But it's put into kind of more plain simple, told out stories from the poems and stuff. It was kind of good. It was interesting. So well written. He does a nice job on books like that. So, but I was reading that and the Gold House and the Oak Flat book. I've struggled with a bit because it wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. And it's good. It's not bad. It's just the way it's written and so forth. It's more of a struggle. So I'm just going to take my time to go through it. And that's by Lauren Redness, and I think she was kind of an artist, painter, sketch artist or something, and she did this book, and it's full of interviews with people concerning Oak Flat and Copper Consolidated and all that stuff in Superior and the sacred property there and all that certain people within our government just decided to sell us out on it for setting the theme while reading Norsemen. That Who, is it Who or Huh? What's that band that I listen to? Those Mongol guys.
Oh.
The Who? The Huh. Hugh? The Hugh? Whatever those guys, they go, they have those instruments. And then they put a rock band behind them, yeah. I like that first CD by them. And then they're doing a second one. So I kind of like them. So another band that kind of, well, no, they didn't really do that. I was going to say Havana Black, but they only did a few songs or one album similar to that, and then they were done. And then they just kind of played straight up, and they were Norwegian or Scandinavian. There is an oblong map and a book by Steve Wilson about treasure in Oklahoma, tiled 1677. Would that be a superstition? Well, I don't know. I'd have to read it. Stephen Wilson. Is it Steve Wilson? So there's Steve Wilson, the musician with Porcupine Tree. There's Steve Wilson, that I think is the guy that wrote the books on the. No, that was Colin Wilson. What was the other Stephen Wilson? Steve Wilson, I'm thinking of. There's a whole bunch of Steve Wilsons. Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna have to look that up. See what I know about a Steve Wilson. Yeah, one Steve Wilson I know is English, so wouldn't think. Yeah, about treasure in Oklahoma, titled 1677. Steve Wilson. Okay, I'll have to look for it and look at it. Got a lot of books on the bookshelf. There are occasional books I'll get on stuff, and then I'll just stick them in piles, or stick them down at the bottom of the bookcase, and then I forget about them. Do you think the Kenworthy books on the Spanish trail markers are any way helpful? Search for the Lost Dutchman. They're good for learning to understand trail markers and Spanish trail signs, booby traps. Kenworthy was a pretty successful guy. It was generally the ocean stuff, not the land stuff. But I have all Kenworthy's stuff, and I have actually duplicates of a number of his books. I've always liked them. I got very lucky while doing Legends. There was one of them I was missing, and I grabbed a handful of them. I was looking through them, and one of our producers walked over and said, "What do you got?" And I said, "This." I said, "I'm going to pick these up, because I was thinking it's good to have extra copies and stuff too." And I thought one or two of them I didn't have, so it was the whole Kenworthy. And he goes, "Oh, don't worry about it." And they bought them all for me, so I ended up. Then Frank walks by and goes, "Where'd you get those?" I said, "They bought them for me." Yeah, so I ended up with a complete double collection and maybe triple in some places. Yeah, Kenworthy stuff's good though. It's cool to read. You'll learn something from it. Cool, Salvador. Have you seen any elementals? Or Wayne, have you or any one of your mates ever seen the Sasquatch? McChesney looks a bit. No, he's got a shaved head. He don't look like a Sasquatch. He's big as one, but he doesn't look like one. Have you seen the? I'll get back to that. Brazanite channel worthwhile about Spanish mines? No, I have not seen there. He's been hiking there too. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to look up this Stephen Wilson guy and sort him from the other Stephen Wilsons and Steve Wilson. Anyways, elementals, that type of stuff, and things in the mountains. I generally don't drink or do any mezcal or peyote or cannabis in the mountains anymore, so I don't see much. I see the mountains. But, yeah, Salvador is pretty... has things happen. He's had some moments. So, we've talked about a few things. I tend to think most people that think they see stuff in the mountains are just thinking they see things in the mountains. I kind of tend to stay away from that and whatever. The mountains are the mountains, and the mountains are their own thing, and I just leave them be for whatever they are. We are standing in a volcano, a collapsed volcano, so there's thunder underneath our feet occasionally, and all kinds of weird, strange, and unusual things going on. So, I don't know about I've never seen anything pygmy-like, anything fairy-like. No, haven't seen anything like that whatsoever. I don't know how, even if there was such a thing as Bigfoot, it could survive back in there. There is, but I will give credit. There is an old black bear down on the south end by No Name Canyon. I don't know if he's still around, but he survived for a number of years. So that does tell you that, yeah. They're kind of, what are they, omnivores? Yeah, bears are omnivores, primarily herbivores, but they are omnivores. But yeah, something large size like that I guess could, and he did manage, but he was eating off the dead animals' flesh down by the quarter circle U, and the problem with that is there's the game camera, so if there was a Sasquatch and he was surviving in the same manner, whatever, we would have seen him on camera. Because we went down to check it out, we were on camera. Unless he's one of those Bigfoots that some people have told me Bigfoot can be invisible. He has an ability to cloak himself and be invisible. Did you know this? Trevor's in his own world. He has his headset on. He's probably editing videos because he's been doing a lot of different editing for people and stuff. He's not even listening to me. See? So
I'm listening to you, but you're like...
Yeah, okay. So okay. You're not even paying attention to the show.
No,
you're off working, editing video. You know what?
Something else.
Yeah. Enough with you. Okay, so there's that. Yeah. We done that. Treasure and Treasure Tales of Oklahoma by Stephen Wilson. Okay, I will keep that in mind and look for it. Ever been on the Hoolie Bacon Trail. Yes, I've been on the Hoolie Bacon Trail. I don't know where else to go with that, but I've been on the Hoolie Bacon Trail. I've been on a lot of the main known trails, a lot of the bigger trails. I've been on a lot of side trails. I've been on a lot of trails that don't have names, that don't really exist. Been on more than a few of those. And then there's a few areas I just never really spent much time in, but I tried at one time. It was, the thing of just trying to hike as many of the different trails. And then there's different routes. There's off-trail hikes and stuff and different ways to get to places. Hoolie Bacon, it's not terrible, I would say. I haven't been on it in forever. But it wasn't terrible. I don't think it wasn't simple. So it's a rough. I'm trying to think if that was a horse trail. I'm thinking the Hoolie Bacon Trail would be a horse trail. Yeah, going through that way. The best thing you can do is look to get a copy of the first edition of Jack Carlson and Elizabeth Stewart's Superstition Mountain Hiking Guide. They tell you whether they're easy, moderate, difficulty, the difficulty ratings on the trails. And then they additionally will tell you whether it's horse or person or this and that. And those are great books for that. I don't always agree with the rating because sometimes I think, that's not too bad. Or I think that was a pain, man. That was a killer. Yeah. Have you watched the episodes at Blind Frog Ranch? Yes, I did. Sonny, you missed out on a lot on this. I was contacted by, what was their name? The company for Blind Frog Ranch that I filmed with. What was it? Carga 7. And they contacted me after I worked on Unexplained, Unexplored, and they pitched me the idea at Blind Frog Ranch of going up to do that. And we talked, and the negotiation was the difficulty in it was money, because I really wasn't interested in doing the type of show it seemed to evolve into. They tried to tell me it was a gold show, and then after they described it to me, I realized it wasn't. I knew it was up by Skinwalker Ranch, which it's about 30, 40 miles or more north of it, 60 miles north of it. But when they were pitching and talking that to me, I was kind of interested, but I thought, people might laugh at me, point a finger at me, think it was silly I did this. But if you pay me this much, I'll be more than happy to do it. And that was where we kind of decided I need a job for cable. I need a job for the cable networks to stay in posh hotels and buy me books. But anyways, that fell through and that didn't work. I was kind of glad. At first I thought, they're getting 2 seasons. They probably might get 3rd season. And then kind of a lot of what happened with it, I was kind of not so sure of. I followed it. I've watched both seasons. I know Eric. Eric was from the Ice Cold Gold program with Jesse Feldman, and I thought he was a good fit. I actually, when I decided I didn't want to do it, they might have got mixed up because I told them Eric, but I told them to get either Eric DeLille or Terry Carter, who does his own YouTube channel on stuff, and he does giants and Bigfoot and lost treasure and all kinds of stuff. And so I thought either one of them might really work better for the show than me. I just didn't understand the Superstition Mountain guy, why he would be up there in the Utah Basin and the whole thing, and the Skinwalkers. I think they were just looking for someone familiar to put into the show. If you love your job, you never work a day in your life, right? I work, but I like my job. I really enjoy it. I like what I do. And like the people I work with. And generally, as a rule, it's been probably one of the better places I've worked. So I don't mind going in. And I would hate to think that I just would. If I had $400 million and could go out and do other things every day. And yeah, that would be different. But I don't. If I can't do that, I'd rather just go to work. I like work. Cost of rattlesnake bite. Yeah, that's expensive. My neighbor got hit. Don't get bit. Still paying the... Yeah. And then if they hit you with too much, my neighbor got hit with too much anti-venom, and that messed him up. It'll mess your kidneys up, all your internal organs, your nervous system. You'll be paying for it. It's very expensive. The whole process is bad. And he got bit twice by a young rattlesnake. And that thing, he's still kind of kind of off from it. I just mean it must be nice to work in the TV industry. Not necessarily those people aren't. There's really nice people. The people that operate the cameras, that run the audio, the people that do the physical labor behind it are very super awesome, excellent people. The crews. Then you have a lot of people kind of in between them, and then what you kind of like the people that are like, you got the cool bosses and the bad bosses between you and upper management. You got that group of people, and then you got the people that are kind of upper echelon. And yeah, enough said on that. So I've met some super really nice people though in television and film, and you're their best friend when they need you, and when they don't need you in the moment, most of them completely forget you and will put you on a shelf in a heartbeat. But there are some really good people, and Glenn Evans is an awesome person. Chris Rabb's an awesome person. I'm going to leave people out, but Pete Sample, Noah Mathers, God. But there were so many awesome people I got to work with. So, and they were really cool people, and I had a great time. Neil Fernandez was awesome to work with. So over time, you work with good people, and then there's people who are in the in-between that are kind of cool, but you see they're in that kind of the structure where what they're taking the crap from up top coming down on them. Because you have to remember, all of television and film is the people on top know everything, and everybody below them, regardless, even the person that might have wrote the screenplay, doesn't know jack. And so it doesn't matter if they're stealing and getting material from you. You're the creative source of everything they're doing. They're going to twist and turn it their own way because they know better, and they know what audiences want. And it's really funny because I will agree with them 60 or 70% of the time. There's a lot of people that I've had approach me with stuff they thought should be in. Are you a lineman for the county? No, I'm not a lineman. Have you seen? I'm not a lineman. The bucket ain't taking me up, and I ain't climbing no poles no more. I'm not climbing. I am what you call a supervisor. I am a supervisor. I am middle management, I guess. Yeah. So I run my department, which runs Metro Phoenix and the state of Arizona, and I do what I do, and I'm pretty cool at it. But no, I'm very happy with what I do. And you can tell because I like doing that, and I like, but no, I don't physically do much of anything anymore. I go lean on the trucks and smoke. Sounds like the music Biz and Wave. Exactly, Sonny. Everything that you hate about the music business and everything that's wrong with it and sucks, you will find it's paralleled in the film. And actually, but music, you can still make music and do stuff on your own, and you don't need to record it, or you can record it or just enjoy it. You don't need your audience and stuff. Film, the problem is there's so much more money that has to go into it. I mean, you can buy yourself a $200 acoustic guitar, play the shit out of it, and enjoy it for the rest of your life. But that's different than acting, film, and stuff like that. There's a lot more to put into it. But yes, I learned a lot by doing television and film both. And one of the things I would do is all the producers and executive producers and anyone I could pick, minds of Robert May won an Academy Award. I would talk to him for hours on the phone. There were people with A&E and History Channel. I would say, okay, can you give me 15, 20 minutes? I got some questions. And then I would just sit there and hit them as why this, why that, why this. And it was not really technical. It was just the psychology of it and stuff and all that stuff. So that was pretty much it. So, I tried to learn as much as I could because I wanted to kind of understand why we were doing and what things were. And it was good that I learned. It ruined television and ruined a lot of films. Films look really fake and stupid to me now. And television is entirely ruined. I only watch... Last year, there's 4 or 5 shows that I've watched. There's only a handful of shows. I generally will just think something's stupid. I want nothing to do with it. So when I say there's a show I'm looking forward to or something, that's because there's something about it or someone working on it. I like, do you drive the main roads? What's that mean? Drive the main roads? Oh, I drive the I-17. I drive the 10. I don't know. Haven't been to the Skinwalker Ranch. No. That was the only thing when I didn't know who. I know Prometheus worked on it, and they're continuing to work on it. And I talked to them about it. That was actually funny in a weird hindsight way. Was when I got working with A&E in history, my favorite show was Longmire, and I wanted to be like a person sitting at a table in the bar. So I was like, I'll drive to New Mexico and I will do this show, but can you guys get me to be like just someone in the background at a table in the bar? Because that's the show. I love watching the show. I love the books. I love Craig Johnson's books more so than I liked the show, but I thought that would be awesome. So when it came to that, when I worked Beyond Oak Island, it was the same thing as, hey, if there's ever a time, you know, Travis or any of those guys just need a guinea pig, or there's something stupid you would need someone for, if you're looking for stupid, I'd love to go out there. And even if it's only for 5 seconds or just unloading a truck for some other guy, I'd like to come out just to walk down there and walk around. I don't want to get in their way or nothing like that. But no, I've read what I could on it, and I'm kind of a big fan of what goes on there. Not thinking it's the spooky hoodoo, eerie, weird stuff. I don't go for any of that at all. But I'm very interested in it from my perspective of how I am, what I would feel, and how it would be out there on the ridge and out there at the basin. So, yeah, I was very interested in that. That didn't turn out. So every time I want to do something and work with someone, I'm like, hey, can you throw me? Well, Longmire got canceled, so let's hope that Skinwalker Ranch doesn't get canceled. The main roads, have you ever been to Famous Skinwalker? So I haven't been there. And I'm not going to go push my way around. Hey, I'm Wayne Tuttle. Looking for an overload. I'm glad you like that. I think you need a long vacation. Nah, I'm not a vacation kind of person. Glenn Gamble? Anyways, no, I'm not a vacation person. I like to go out in the mountains and do stuff and all, but I get kind of squirrely if I'm away from work too much. I like to work. So, and my work a lot of times involves stuff that I like to do. Or Campbell. Yeah, Glenn Campbell. Glenn Campbell was a picker, played with the Beach Boys, came out and lived out here in Arizona. Rhinestone Cowboy. Galveston. And that's about the end of the songs I know by Glenn Campbell. So anyhow, so there's that. So the Skinwalker Ranch thing and all that. Kind of, man, this has been all over the place. So we just keep meandering and so forth. But it's pizza night. I got to get cut and getting ready to go because guess what? I want to go eat pizza, and I think I'm having to go out and fetch pizza tonight. You're nodding. So I got to go out and pick pizza up. So, yeah, I want to eat pizza, and then I want to watch Sandman and chill out and relax, take a nice shower. It does sound like it's windy and stormy out since I called up them Banshee. Who knows what I did? Sorry, here. It's kind of, that's the one cool thing, you get that wind, because the wind we don't get, in the storms you always get that woo, cool sound at night. When you're 4 or 5 years old, you didn't think it was cool. Now it's cool. So, but yeah, you get that noise going through. But anyhow, I want to thank everybody because the Fridays, doing the lives and stuff, we've been getting really, usually pulling around. By the time all things are said and done, about 1,000 people each week going through the lives, and it's been cool. And it's just something extra we decided to throw together. Can you order pizza to be delivered? Not from the place that they want the pizza tonight, unfortunately. Tonight is a place that I will have to put shoes on and go pick it up. So, yes, I prefer that if they'll deliver it, if I can, especially come home, try to chill out, do this, and then have to go and take myself back out in the wind and storm and all. But nope, I'll have to go back out. Wichita Lineman. Oh, okay, yeah. Wichita, that was another Glenn Campbell song. Now I know that. Have a good weekend, Wayne. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for spending time with me, whether you be in Australia or Ireland or London or England or in Denmark or Morocco. I don't think we've ever had a Moroccan. I come for the comments. We'll take them away with you. Oh, geez, spell check screwed that up. It's okay. I knew what you were talking about. Thanks again, you guys. This was great. When you're tired, it's time for lasagna. Yeah, well, I will get There was a place I'll get spaghetti or ravioli or stuff. Once I'm tired of the pizza, I'll get my own separate thing or a salad instead. And they can still have pizza. So it's pizza night. It's always pizza night. It's always pizza night. But I will order something different from the menu from some places. So when I'm kind of like had enough pizza, tonight will be good pizza. So anyhow, Wichita, it's in Kansas. Thank you, everybody. Please go to when you're at our YouTube, hit the About section, pick up shirts, pick up mugs, pick up stuff. We'll have a website up soon. Whatever. Hit like, go around, hit comments. There's plenty of comments here. Once you go back to see it, you won't see these comments. You'll see a whole new set of comments because of how it plays. And it's weird because the views don't seem to count and add up the same over there when it's running after the live as it does during the live. So I've been talking for over an hour and I'm retaining people for 11 minutes. So every under 12 minutes, about 11 minutes, and people go, yeah, you know what, F that guy. So bacon, please. There you go. All right. Thanks, Wayne. Enjoy tonight. Enjoy the pizza. Enjoy tonight. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Catch us again Monday for Chasing Legends. Until then, remember, I'm Wayne Tuttle. You're not. And this wasn't Chasing Legends. This was that super. I got to come up with a name for this still. Say that every week. But anyhow, take care. Have a great weekend. We'll see you the next time. All right? Have a good one. Bye. And your stream will stop immediately when you're no longer alive. Not yet. Well, why does it do that? You hit end and then you're still there.